close in just 2 hours in an election that will decide whether Governor Gavin Newsom keeps his job. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Some of the recall candidates spent the day trying to sway last-minute voters. Others, including former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, will be holding watch parties tonight as the results come in. News 8's Shannon Handy begins our team coverage tonight. She's at Liberty Station with more on tonight's event and what a few of the standout candidates had to say today.
Marcella, Faulconer is expected to speak to reporters here outside his campaign headquarters at 8 o'clock tonight once the polls close. Now, he and the other candidates have been campaigning nonstop to get to this point, as has Governor Gavin Newsom.
Do I have your support to vote no? Are we going to get out there and work hard until the very last minute?
Governor Gavin Newsom spoke to reporters in San Francisco Tuesday after visiting with members of a Service Employees International union.
I'm feeling good as long as we get out that vote.
Though recent polls show Newsom leading in the recall election, he acknowledged it's anyone's guess who will win.
Polls don't vote, people vote. And that's particularly true in an off-year, off-month election and a recall election.
There are 46 candidates on the recall ballot. Polls show talk show host Larry Elder is the top Republican candidate. He spent yesterday campaigning in Los Angeles County. Today, he posted this video message on Twitter.
We're going to change California. In fact, we're going to change the world.
Also on the Republican ticket, former Olympian and reality TV star Caitlyn Jenner. She voted this morning at Beverly Hills City Hall.
To be honest with you, whether you're for the recall, not for the recall, voting is probably the most important thing that you can do.
Meanwhile, businessman John Cox spoke in Long Beach during a stop on his Recall Newsom Fix California bus tour.
I'd like to lead this state. I think it'd be a great challenge and a great effort to get this done.
Cox, a San Diego resident, is expected to address the media tonight in Rancho Santa Fe. Former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer will also speak tonight in Liberty Station.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
He cast his ballot alongside his wife at the Registrar of Voters on Saturday and encouraged others to do the same.
It's very important that folks get out and vote.
As for the Democratic challengers, there are a total of 9. Among them, polls indicate real estate agent and social media influencer Kevin Pathraff is leading the pack. Earlier today, he tweeted, "Vote, trust the election process. Failing to vote is failing by default. Voting brings money to your district. Vote." And again, we expect to hear from not only Faulconer and Cox, but other candidates as well. And we will have those updates for you on later editions of News 8.
Thank you, Shannon. County election leaders expect turnout for today's election to be somewhere between 60 and 70%.
Today, thousands of San Diegans turned out to vote in person at hundreds of polling places across the county. So how's it going out there? News 8's Steve Price joins us from the Registrar of Voters office with the answer. Steve?
So far, so good. That's the word from the county's interim registrar of voters, who says they've seen more in-person voting today than over the past couple of days, but there have been no major problems reported.
Over 900,000 ballots have already been returned to our Registrar of Voters office, where the counting is well underway. The first batch of numbers should be released shortly after the polls close at 8 o'clock.
That will include all of the mail ballots we've already received and processed into the count, as well as the 3 days of early voting at our polling locations.
Cynthia Paz is the county's interim registrar of voters. She says even today, her office is still getting a lot of questions about the ballot. There seems to be a lot of confusion about whether you're supposed to vote for just one question or both.
Voters can vote on both parts or either part of the ballot. One part does not impact your vote on the second.
In-person voting started Saturday, but workers here say this has been the busiest day. A steady stream of people dropping off mail-in ballots. And then there are voters like Kara Legler, who went inside the building to cast her ballot in person, rather than handing her ballot to a stranger outside.
But I don't trust it. I don't trust the system. I don't really even trust what I just did, but I feel better about that than I would have just dropping it off with somebody here or in a mailbox or anything else.
Regardless of your voting method, everyone here agrees what's important is that you vote. As C.T. Smith puts it, this is a right you should never take for granted.
And this is what I can do to support and honor the sacrifices of all those who have laid their life down, that I could walk in and cast my vote.
If you want your vote to count, you must be in line to drop off your ballot or vote in person no later than 8 o'clock. So when will we know the final results? The registrar's office says it could be a while because an estimated 150,000 to 200,000 mail-in ballots postmarked by today may not arrive for several days. The official deadline for certifying the results is October 14th. In Kearney Mesa, Steve Price, News 8.
It'll be a busy night at the Registrar of Voters Office. This recall effort is the first to get to the ballot after previous attempts to recall Governor Newsom. It comes during another surge in COVID-19 cases. But were the pandemic and statewide closures the real triggers for this recall? Our political reporter Morgan Reiner is in Sacramento with more on how we got here.
November 6th, Gavin Newsom dined at the French Laundry at a table full of lobbyists.
That same day, a judge in Sacramento gave the recall campaign 4 extra months to collect signatures. Otherwise, they would have been dead in the water.
The headlines that came after were hard to miss. The recall ignited. The signatures needed came in.
Vote yes on the recall.
Those in favor of the recall urging supporters to show up. But political analyst Steve Swat said it's not just about Republicans showing up. They need Democrats to stay home.
If Democrats show up, they win. I mean, this is a state where you have more than 10 million registered Democrats and only a bit more than 5 million registered Republicans. If 50% of the Democrats show up and 75% of the Republicans show up, Democrats still win because they have the numbers.
6 weeks ago, all polls showed a tight recall. Today, Newsom is leading, a lesson his campaign said is learned.
The base may start out asleep, which is what the Berkeley IGS poll was, but you can wake up the base.
A Democratic National Committee communications director told me the strategy they used, Larry Elder. Fear.
Having a Republican as extreme as the leading Republican is in this race just helped put in perspective for people just how stark the choice is.
If Elder wasn't in the running, could a more self-proclaimed moderate like former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer help further the recall effort?
Originally, I thought yes, maybe, because you're right, Kevin Faulconer is the moderate Republican. But right in the middle of the campaign, he came out and said, yes, I supported Trump. And yes, and he said, yes, I want to get rid of mandates. He swerved to the right.
Because in a state like California, Steve said it's simple. Moderates don't do well.
Some important things to keep in mind as we start seeing those numbers come in tonight is that polls show the people that show up now in person to vote tend to sway a little bit more right. But in California, as long as you postmark your mail-in ballot by today, by the 14th, your vote will be counted for up to a week after.
Morgan, have you had any update, final check-in on the numbers of people who voted so far today?
I just checked a few minutes ago, right before this live shot, and it looks like about 9.5 million ballots have come in, and so far Democrats almost double that of Republicans. But again, we could see that gap start to narrow. So far, that's about 43% of potential voters. It looks like we've already surpassed what we saw in the 2014 gubernatorial election, but not quite what we saw in 2018. Of course, look at this line behind me. That could change quickly.
Yeah, still a couple more hours to go at the polls. Thanks so much, Morgan. Coming up new in our next half hour, we will be joined by Thad Kauser, a professor of political science at UC San Diego. And stay with News 8 for complete recall election coverage tonight. We will have live results after the polls close tonight at 8 p.m.
So-called ghost guns are now illegal in the city of San Diego. The city council passed an ordinance today banning the sale, purchase, or possession of guns without serial numbers on them. San Diego police say a fifth of guns seized in the first half of this year were ghost guns. Those are weapons that are legally sold in do-it-yourself kits, legal because they do not include finished lower receivers. Minimal tooling is required to finish the weapons, which are often utilized by people who are otherwise prohibited from owning firearms. A man accused of murdering a woman in her City Heights apartment more than 50 years ago has been ordered to stand trial. John Sippos was arrested last October in Allentown, Pennsylvania, with the help of forensic genealogy. Prosecutors say back in 1969, Sippos broke down the door to 24-year-old Mary Scott's home, raped and then strangled her. Sippos served in the U.S. Navy and was based in San Diego in the late 1960s. His alleged relationship with the victim is still unclear.
Right now, Tropical Depression Nicholas is dumping torrential rain across the Gulf region of Texas. Nicholas made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane with wind gusts of up to 75 miles an hour. So far, Galveston has gotten more than a foot of rain, and the Houston area has received 7 inches. Southwest of Galveston, some streets and yards are completely underwater.
This storm could have been a lot worse for the city of Houston. I think we fared fairly well. The good news is that there were no injuries reported and there were no fatalities.
And that is good news. The storm is now headed for Louisiana, where thousands are still struggling to recover from Hurricane Ida. The governor there has already declared a state of emergency as storm-weary residents prepare once again.
Still ahead, does a mandate for federal employees to get the COVID vaccine include members of Congress? We verify that.
But first, why a gun violence restraining order that police filed against the husband of a missing mom from Chula Vista will remain in effect for now.
Temperatures are a little bit cooler than about 24 hours ago. Cooling trend is expected to continue all the way into the weekend. We're even going below seasonal.